Hey guys, tonight we're going way back, so far back that your GPS won't even bother. Imagine you're waking up on a hard, cold slab of stone inside a rock shelter that sort of smells like wet goat and old firewood. Your pillow, a bundle of reeds and animal hair. Your blanket. If you're lucky, a tattered strip of something that used to be a deer. You stretch, feeling every bone in your body pop, and look up at the soot-streaked ceiling, wondering how this became your life. Welcome to the Stone Age, and you probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're still with me, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love knowing where and when you're listening. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You open your eyes to find a hazy dawn creeping in through a low, smoky opening in the rock wall. The fire's gone out, leaving a few glowing coals, and it's freezing. There's no door, no insulation, just a pile of rocks, a bearskin curtain if you're fancy, and a faint draft that seems to aim straight at your kidneys. You're surrounded by the muffled grunts and snoring of your roommates, maybe 6 or 7 people, all curled up like a poorly organized pile of socks. Someone's elbow is in your ribs. Someone else's breath smells like fermented root. You're not exactly sure who's who because everyone, including you, smells a little like old meat and wet fur. You sit up and immediately hit your head on the low-hanging rock ceiling. Welcome to prehistoric architecture, no blueprints, just vibes. The floor is uneven and covered in layers of packed dirt, ash bones, and what might be yesterday's dinner, or part of the shelter wall. Historians still argue whether these early dwellings were deliberately layered or just chaotic messes that accumulated over time. Either way, you're not cleaning it. There's no morning coffee, no hot shower, no mirror to check your face, which is probably for the best because your hair is a tragic blend of stick sweat and fossil-grade knots. You shuffle to the entrance, careful not to step on someone's face, and peer out. The landscape is breathtaking in a National Geographic before civilization sort of way. Towering trees, misty hills, and maybe a mammoth in the far distance. Or just a very large rock. Your eyes haven't adjusted yet. The first thing you feel after the biting wind is hunger. A deep, gnawing emptiness that makes you wish for a toaster, a fridge, or even a vending machine. But instead, breakfast is not here, not waiting. You have to find it, or catch it, or dig it up. And that's assuming the others let you eat. Food is shared, of course, but not evenly. You're the new one, the outsider. You don't speak the language because there isn't one yet. It's more of a collection of grunts, gestures, and side eyes. You try to communicate. You make eye contact with a sturdy woman who looks like she could throw you across the valley. She grunts. You grunt back tentatively. She tilts her head, picks up a stick, and points it at your foot. You step back. She laughs, or growls. Honestly, it's hard to tell. Meanwhile, a child is chewing on a rock like it's a bagel, and someone else is squatting behind a tree, very much not using a toilet. There is, in fact, no toilet. Just the designated area beyond the big tree, which you'll learn later, has been moved 3 times this month, because someone keeps violating the zone. The smells are vivid. Smoke, sweat, wet fur, ash, old food, something vaguely fishy. You breathe through your mouth and try not to gag. A man returns from outside with something in his hands. Roots. Mushrooms. Something gray and slimy. He dumps it near the fire and pokes the coals. Someone else tosses in a handful of dry moss. Sparks fly. You jump. They don't. Fire making is normal here, just not your normal. In the background, a few others stir awake, stretch like cats, and begin prepping for the day. This might mean sharpening a flint blade, checking traps, or grooming each other for lice. Yes, lice. There is no shampoo. The only conditioner is grease smoke or perhaps the tears of modern-day visitors like you. You glance down at your own outfit, one scratchy fur pelt cinched with twine slipping off one shoulder and doing very little to keep out the cold. It smells worse now that you're sweating from stress. Your shoes, if you can call them that, are foot wraps, strips of hide tied around your feet with some unfortunate animal's tendons. You are now aware of every single blister forming. A little girl hands you a beetle. She smiles. You are being offered breakfast. You smile back, chew the beetle it crunches, and try not to cry. Congratulations, you've made it to sunrise, but there's still a very, very long day ahead. You don't have a spear, a plan, or even enough words to say I'm cold. You're just one confused modern human, lost in time, and you haven't even gone hunting yet. You step outside the rock shelter wincing as your foot lands squarely on a sharp pebble. The Stone Age is not orthopedic. The air is crisp, refreshing if you weren't half naked and wildly underfed. Your breath comes out in visible puffs, and somewhere in the distance, a bird cackles, like it knows you're not going to make it. Breakfast time, apparently. There's no morning announcement, no organized gathering, just a slow dispersal of tribe members, each peeling off into the misty woods with purpose, grabbing sticks, stones, baskets woven from reeds, or just heading off with practiced muscle memory. You follow along mostly because you don't want to be left behind with the lice and the screaming baby. You've been assigned to the foraging party. Assigned in the sense that an elder pointed vaguely at you and made a noise that you interpreted as go pick stuff or starve. You nod solemnly as if you understand what any of these roots look like. The group is a motley crew. One older woman with a deeply lined face and a bark cape. A lanky teen who keeps rolling stones between his fingers, and a squat man who grunts every few minutes and smells strongly of mushrooms. You like him the most. He seems to know what he's doing. You bend to examine something green and leafy. Could it be edible, poisonous, decorative? The woman swats your hand away, then gestures toward a different plant that looks exactly the same. Historians still argue whether early humans truly distinguished medicinal herbs from lethal ones, or if they simply learned through trial error and the occasional unfortunate incident. So you carry a woven pouch and keep your eyes peeled. The rules seem to be, if it smells like death, don't touch it. If it squirms, definitely don't touch it. And if the old lady picks it, it's probably safe-ish. After 20 minutes, you've collected 3 mushy berries, 1 suspicious tuber, a snail, you're unsure if it crawled in or if that's intentional, and a fistful of moss you thought was useful but turns out is just well moss. You're hungry enough to consider all of it. A rustle nearby stops the group. Everyone freezes. You instinctively reach for your phone, which of course doesn't exist. The squat mushroom man lifts his hand slowly and points. Something moves in the brush. A boar. Maybe a deer. You step forward. Bad idea. The ground gives way beneath your feet, just a soft patch, really. But you tumble into a shallow ditch, landing squarely on your ego. The noise startles whatever animal was nearby and it bolts. So much for meat. The elder sighs. The teen rolls his eyes. The mushroom man offers you a hand. You're not sure if they're more annoyed or amused, but one thing's clear, you're officially that guy. the one who ruins breakfast. When the group trudges back to camp, the sun is higher and your stomach sounds like distant thunder. Other hunters have returned, some with birds, others with small mammals, one with a large lizard-like creature that may or may not still be alive. You try not to look too disappointed when your own contribution is quietly added to the maybe fermented pile. To distract yourself, you glance at the others and wonder how they survive this every day. They move with a kind of confidence born from necessity. They don't hesitate when they pick berries or toss a snake away from their feet. Their bodies are lean and marked scratches, calluses, scars that speak of stories they probably don't even remember. You look down at your own hands. Soft, pink. One blister already forming under your thumb from trying to pull roots with a stick. This is your morning. Just breakfast prep. You haven't even eaten yet. And you're exhausted. You hear laughter near the fire pit. One of the children has found a grub the size of your finger and is waving it like a trophy. A woman pulls it from his hand, pierces it with a twig, and roasts it over a flame like it's a marshmallow. You force a polite smile. The grub hisses as it cooks, popping open like a tiny balloon. The smell is nutty, smoky, slightly horrifying. The woman offers you the first bite, as a guest, or maybe a test, or both. You take it. It's not terrible. It's not good either, but in the absence of Pop-Tarts, you'll take it. Somewhere in the background, someone plays a bone flute. The tune is simple, hypnotic. Not quite a melody, more like a reminder that even here humans need a rhythm. And maybe that's the real breakfast. The quiet moments, the teamwork, the oddly specific music that probably doesn't translate well to Spotify. You sit cross-legged near the fire and breathe in the smoke, the ash, and the faint whiff of something burning that might be your moss pouch. Your stomach has stopped screaming, replaced by a dull ache that you know will return soon. There's no brunch, no mimosas, just another round of walking, scraping, digging, and trying not to die before sunset. But for now, you're fed. Sort of. You survive the morning. Barely. You wipe the roasted grub juice off your chin with a scrap of fur and glance around at the others who are now beginning their version of morning prep. But instead of coffee and office wear, it's more like smoke baths and reindeer fat deodorant. Welcome to Stone Age fashion, where every outfit tells a story, and that story is usually, "This was the warmest thing I could find." Someone hands you a bundle of animal skins. They're slightly damp, possibly from the nearby stream, or possibly not. The smell hits you first, a sharp, gamey tang laced with the faint sting of smoke and something musky. You try not to gag as you throw the garment over your shoulders. It's surprisingly heavy. Fashion here isn't about flair. It's about survival. The fur tickles your neck. You try adjusting it only to discover that part of it is still attached to something resembling a tail. That might explain the weight and the way the kids giggle as you walk by. Apparently, you've been gifted the tribe's least glamorous cloak. Historically speaking, early humans used clothing primarily for insulation and camouflage. But there's more to it than just staying warm. The elders in the tribe wear cloaks with layers of stitched hide bone beads and feather details, some of it decorative, some of it symbolic. The more stitching and adornment you've got, the more experience you're signaling. Think of it as prehistoric LinkedIn endorsements. You've got one ratty fur and a foot wrap falling off. The teen from earlier walks past wearing a belt made from braided tendons and shells. He's clearly proud of it. You try complimenting him with a thumbs up. He raises one eyebrow and keeps walking. Cultural gaps are real. Next up, footwear. Someone ties your feet with strips of leather. It's less like putting on shoes and more like wrapping a steak. No support, no soles, just friction and optimism. You take a step and immediately slip in something unidentifiable. The squelch is wet and disturbing. You don't ask what it was. You never ask. You notice others rubbing ash on their skin, sometimes mixed with fat, sometimes on its own. It's not just to look cool, although they do have a mysterious matte charcoal vibe going. Historians believe this ash mixture worked as insect-repellent sunscreen and even mild antibacterial ointment. You apply some to your arms, feeling like you're prepping for war or just a hike through very unfriendly terrain. The smoke from the fire is another part of the daily routine. Tribe members walk slowly through it, letting it coat their hair and clothes. Not only does it kill fleas and lice, it also covers the scent of humans from prey animals. You give it a try and immediately start coughing. Graceful. A woman nearby braids her daughter's hair using strips of sinew and tiny bones. The girl sits patiently, eyes closed, enjoying the attention. You consider asking for a style upgrade, but then realize you barely have enough hair left after last night's tangles to warrant a comb. One man, clearly the tribal peacock, walks by in what can only be described as a full-on fashion statement. Layered hides, tooth necklaces, a headband made from what looks like a squirrel pelt. He's strutting, yes, strutting. Prehistoric humans didn't just survive. They peacocked when they could. And frankly, you respect it. You sit down on a rock and try to make yourself useful. Someone hands you a needle. Well, it's technically a sharpened fish bone and a length of sinew. You're apparently meant to sew. You stab your thumb within seconds. Blood wells up. The elder sighs and takes the bone needle back. You're demoted to fur holder. But hey, at least you're part of the group now. Clothing in the Stone Age wasn't just protection. It was a message. The way hides were cut, how bones were used, the exact placement of red ochre all spoke of age, skill, tribe, and even spiritual beliefs. Some archaeologists suggest that symbolic adornment appeared even earlier than agriculture. In other words, humans were decorating themselves before they were farming food. You consider this while trying to tie your foot wrap again. It's hopeless. You settle for stuffing it into place and hoping the mud holds it. Someone gestures for you to join a circle near the fire. There's laughter, light teasing. Someone mimics your earlier fall into the ditch, complete with dramatic arm flailing. It's your first taste of tribal humor. It stings a little, but you smile. You're the joke of the morning. That probably means you're in now. You glance at the group. Strong hands, quick fingers, clever solutions to everyday problems, using only sticks, bones, and instinct. You begin to realize that this so-called boring age wasn't so boring after all. It was resourceful, creative, tougher than modern-day gym bros with protein shakes and air conditioning. And you're covered in ash, wearing a possum shawl and trying to act like this is totally normal. A child walks up and offers you a necklace made of shells and bird bones. You accept it with theatrical reverence. The tribe claps gently. It's not quite a welcome ceremony, but it's close enough. You're finally dressed for the day. You feel ridiculous, but also a tiny bit proud. You're starting to feel a little more presentable. Sure, you smell like a campfire wrapped in damp squirrel, and your feet are encased in prehistoric leather socks, held together by optimism. But you're upright. You're moving. You've even been teased. Social status rising. That is until you round the fire pit and come face to face with a group of strangers. Other strangers. They're not from your little cluster of fur-wrapped misfits. Their hair is braided differently. They carry different tools. One is wearing a necklace made of polished teeth, which is probably not a coincidence. You have just met the neighbors. Welcome to the Stone Age version of a neighborhood meet and greet, except it's wordless, tense, and maybe just maybe a little terrifying. Your group's body language shifts. Postures straighten. Tools are adjusted. One of the elders steps forward, slowly extending both empty hands. It's a gesture you recognize, diplomatic, peaceful. You exhale. So far, so good. The visitors nod, grunting softly, and do the same. Then, without a word, the silent exchange begins. You have no idea what's happening. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens engaged in regular trade, limited conflict, or just awkward stare-downs. Evidence shows they likely interacted for generations in overlapping territories, possibly even sharing technologies, stories, or partners. But whatever this is, it's not Tinder. It's more like competitive miming. You're nudged forward, apparently chosen as observe and don't screw this up guy. No pressure. The elder opens a pouch and lays out several shiny items. A few blades of obsidian, 2 dried mushrooms, and a small carving that looks suspiciously like a goat. The visitors examine them in silence. One reaches into his own satchel and produces a knotted string of what might be sinew dyed with ochre. It's oddly beautiful. You watch as objects are exchanged slowly, purposefully. The rhythm of the trade feels ceremonial, almost ritualistic. No one smiles. No one speaks. And yet there's an unmistakable energy here, an ancient trust balanced by equally ancient suspicion. Then comes the moment no one enjoys the inspection. One of your group picks up a traded bone needle and sniffs it. Another bites it. The visitors grunt. Someone laughs softly. That's your cue. Humor is acceptable now. So you attempt a grunt laugh of your own. It comes out as a startled honk. Everyone turns to stare. You panic, miming that you're choking on smoke. Which you're not, but it's the best lie you've got. One of the children giggles. A visitor smirks. Crisis narrowly avoided. After a few more exchanges, the 2 groups step back. You watch as both parties slowly lower their tools, not in surrender, just done for now. It's not a party, but it's not war either. That counts as diplomacy. As the visitors depart, you get a closer look at their faces, deeply lined, sun-darkened, alert eyes that scan everything. Their bodies are marked with paint or ash. Their tools are similar to yours, but decorated differently. Their smells, slightly less fishy, slightly more smoky pine. Rivals, allies, cousins, you may never know, but here's a fun twist. One of the younger visitors lingers a moment. She's about your age. Eyes sharp, hands calloused, and wearing a band of beads around her wrist. She tosses something your way. You flinch because of course you do, and it bounces off your chest. It's a small carved pebble. Smooth. Perfectly round. Possibly a token. A prank. A tiny ancient flirt. You look up. She's already walking away. You tuck the pebble into your pouch like it's a sacred artifact. You don't understand the gesture, but it feels important, or at least better than being ignored. After the exchange, your group relaxes again. People return to their tasks. A few trade items are passed around for closer inspection. The carved goat, it turns out, is actually a dog, or possibly a bear. The artist wasn't big on detail. Still, every item is appreciated. These interactions are reminders that even in an age of rocks and smoke, humans still found ways to communicate. Through trade, through shared rituals, through that universal language of please don't kill me. You settle near the fire again, feeling just a little more connected not just to your group, but to the vast network of early humans spread across the world, all figuring things out, the same way you are, with cautious gestures, gift exchanges, and nervous grunting. A breeze passes, lifting a few strands of your hair and the unmistakable scent of warm fish fat. You wonder what it would be like to stumble into another group of modern humans looking as ridiculous as you do now, smudged with ash, covered in fur, and clutching a carved rock like a treasure. You decide you'd be proud. You've survived an ancient social encounter. You've been thrown a pebble. You are, by all accounts, thriving. The fire crackles as you inspect the carved pebble again. Maybe it's a toy. Maybe it's a flirtation. Maybe it's just a rock with ideas above its station. Whatever it is, it's yours now, and in the Stone Age possession is at least 9/10 of survival. You're feeling vaguely accomplished until one of the tribe elders walks over and drops something heavy in your lap, a hand axe, or maybe it's a scraper, or a chopper, or a blunt object for clubbing whatever's currently trying to club you. Welcome to the era of multi-tool survival gear. Before Swiss Army knives, there were rocks you hit things with until they worked. You stare at the tool, unsure what you're supposed to do with it. It's made of flint, or maybe obsidian, sharp edges on one side, rough grip on the other. It's beautiful in that someone made this with zero electricity kind of way. You're half tempted to hang it on a wall. But there are no walls, just expectations. The elder gestures to a large animal bone nearby, then mimes scraping it. You nod, grab the bone, and do your best to look like you know how to scrape. You do not. Your first attempt sounds like someone dragging a fork across a chalkboard. Bits of bone dust fly everywhere. The tool slips in your hand. The elder groans. A child snickers. You keep trying. Turns out, proper tool use is an art, and not one you've mastered. Yet, historians believe early stone tools date back over 2 million years, with designs evolving as needs changed from butchering to woodworking to making other tools. But the learning curve steep, literally painful. Within minutes, you have 2 blisters and a small cut on your thumb. You've managed to scrape off maybe a spoonful of material and most of your dignity. Eventually, another tribe member takes pity on you and demonstrates the rhythm. Short, angled motions, pressure from the heel of the hand, controlled flicks rather than brute force. You imitate slowly. It's meditative in a please don't lose a finger sort of way. Once you've earned the bare minimum of competence, you're invited to the larger tool circle. Here, people are shaping arrowheads, slicing strips of hide, carving bone needles, and sharpening digging sticks. There's little talking, just the soft tink of flint against flint like prehistoric rain. Someone passes you a half-finished blade. You're supposed to refine it. You hold it up to the light, the cloudy daylight, and squint. The edge is already dangerously sharp. You're not sure it needs your help, but you give it a cautious flick with another stone anyway. It snaps cleanly in 2. You freeze. Everyone looks up. The tool master, an older man with one working eye and arms like braided rope, walks over silently. He picks up the broken blade, inspects the break, and then shrugs. He hands you another. Apparently, failure is expected. The tribe knows you're a work in progress. So you try again, and again, and again. Eventually, you create a serviceable edge. Not pretty, not perfect, but usable. You proudly present it to the toolmaster. He squints at it, then nods once. No smile. But that's the Stone Age equivalent of a gold star. You realize these tools aren't just instruments, they're lifelines. The difference between eating or starving, between defense or disaster, between mashing a root and processing a root. The simplest tasks, digging, scraping, cutting, binding, are impossible without the right tools, and the only factory is your hands. It hits you just how much intelligence is buried in these seemingly primitive lives. Every notch in the stone is intentional. Every choice material angle grip is the result of generations of observation and experimentation. You're not in a world of random rock bashing. This is science wrapped in instinct. One of the women uses a flake of obsidian to cut thin strips of sinew. She braids them swiftly into thread, then binds 2 small bones into a kind of fishing hook. You blink. It's delicate, elegant even. You suddenly feel like you're watching someone knit a sweater on a tightrope. Nearby, the children are learning too, grinding roots with round stones, poking at dirt with sticks, mimicking the movements of the adults. You realize that school is everywhere all the time. Every day is a workshop, a demonstration, a test of what you can make with what you have. You wipe your hands on your fur wrap now coated in flakes of bonestone dust and a streak of what might be marrow. You don't ask. You just let the evidence of your effort stay where it lands. Later, someone shows you a specialized scraper used for tanning hides. It's curved, smooth, perfectly fit for the palm. And then there's a fire-starting tool flint and pyrite struck at just the right angle to create sparks. You try it, and fail, and try again. On your 6th attempt, a single spark catches on a nest of dry moss. You stare in disbelief as it smolders, then blooms into a small, warm flame. The tribe cheers softly. No whooping, just nods, hums one approving grunt. You have made fire. Okay, a fire. Still, it counts. You grin, smoke in your eyes, soot on your cheeks, and a primitive rush in your chest. You're not just surviving now. You're learning. You're a Stone Age intern, and you haven't been fired yet. By now, the sun has climbed high above the trees, casting sharp shadows across the uneven clearing. The air's thick with the scent of smoke hide and whatever that lizard thing was that someone left too close to the fire. You wipe your forehead only to smear ash across it and glance around for something resembling a shady nap spot. No such luck. It's midday in the Stone Age, which means it's time to walk. Somewhere. For something. Probably food. Possibly danger. Almost certainly sunburn. You're invited again by vague pointing and gentle pushing to join a small hunting-foraging combo team. You nod like you're thrilled, then immediately regret every life choice that led you to a place without SPF 50 or mosquito repellent. The party sets out in near silence, save for the soft rustle of leaves, the occasional bird call, and the persistent squelch of your left foot wrap. You try not to think about what's inside it. The trail is not a trail. It's just the least thorny path between ferns. You duck under branches, tiptoe over mud, and attempt to look useful by carrying a bundle of sticks. No one told you to. You just feel like it might help. The sun blazes overhead and the shadows shrink. You're sweating so much that the ash on your arms starts to form little rivers. You're now wearing prehistoric eyeliner, accidentally fashionable. You reach a small clearing where 2 women begin digging near a cluster of odd-looking plants. One uses a sharpened stick like a spade. The other just digs with her hands. You join in trying not to look horrified by the fat white grubs squirming beneath the soil. These apparently are lunch. One woman pops a grub into a woven pouch. The other eats one, raw. You look at the grub. The grub looks at you. You smile politely and return to digging. Meanwhile, the air grows hotter. Your furs, once essential for not freezing at dawn, are now small personal saunas. You try to remove a layer only to discover that sweat has essentially glued it to your back. You are now officially being cooked alive. Somewhere nearby, a stick cracks. Everyone freezes. The woman with the digging stick slowly raises a hand. You barely breathe. Then, from the underbrush, a blur of brown bolts through the clearing. A hare, gone in seconds. No one even throws a spear. It's too fast, and frankly, no one has the energy. You try to pretend you might have caught it if you'd been ready. You would not have. Instead, you keep walking, and walking, and walking. Historians still debate whether these long foraging excursions were strategic or simply survival-driven. Some researchers believe groups had designated routes and return cycles, while others suggest they followed instinct weather and wild animal movements. Whatever the case it is, a lot of walking. Your feet are screaming. Your calves are making threats. Your shoulders feel like you've been carrying bricks, which you kind of have one of the hunters handed you a stone hammer earlier, then walked away. You've been lugging it like a confused delivery person ever since. Eventually, the group pauses near a shallow stream. Its beautiful, clear water trickling over smooth stones. Dragonflies flitting overhead, a faint breeze dancing through the reeds. You sit, no collapse. Someone offers you a handful of wet leaves. You eye them suspiciously. Turns out they're full of crushed mint and wild garlic, a primitive energy snack. You chew slowly. It tastes like toothpaste made of salad, but at least it's not another grub. The others use the moment to drink, splash their faces, rewrap their feet, or adjust their makeshift packs. A woman braids a bit of her hair, using her reflection in the water. You try the same and instantly fall in face first. You emerge soaked with a lily pad stuck to your ear. Mild laughter ensues. You accept it. By now, your muscles are trembling. The sun is brutal. Your skin is either sunburned, windburned, or both. Your furs are damp with sweat and stream water. Your inner monologue has grown quiet, likely passed out. You're not even halfway through the day, and yet something strange is happening. You're starting to understand the rhythm. The way people move as one. The signs they watch for birds flying low, insect swarms, crushed leaves, snapped twigs. Every step is cautious but purposeful, not frantic, not reckless, just tuned in. You begin to appreciate that midday heat isn't a problem for them. It's a signal. Time to rest. Time to listen. To be still. You, the chronically overscheduled modern human, are being outpaced by barefoot philosophers with sticks and intuition. The group moves on. You stand slowly, your joints creaking like a haunted canoe, and follow. Soon you come across a patch of forest where someone has hidden several clay pots under a fallen tree. They're primitive, rough, sun-dried things, no glaze, just fire-hardened earth. Inside, dried meat. Possibly squirrel, possibly not. No one checks the label. You each take a piece. It's chewy, smoky, and oddly satisfying. You sit again this time without drama and lean back against a tree. The sun dapples your skin. The meat settles in your stomach. The hammer lies forgotten beside you. You're not thriving, but for the first time today, you're not actively suffering. Small wins. The heat begins to ease as the sun tilts westward. The shadows stretch out long and spindly across the forest floor and everything. Your legs, your brain, the insects buzzing around your ears seems to slow down. You're sticky with sweat, caked in mud, and smell like a smoked squirrel that fell into a swamp. But you're still standing. That counts for something. The group moves again, quieter now. There's a certain hush that creeps in with the afternoon light, as if the forest itself is winding down for a nap. You try to match the others' movements, placing your feet with care, avoiding crunchy leaves ducking under branches before they smack you in the forehead, mostly successfully. Eventually, you reach the edge of a clearing, and one of the hunters raises a hand. Everyone freezes. You hold your breath, mimicking the others who are now crouching low in the undergrowth. You follow their gaze. In the distance, at the edge of a scrubby patch of grass and low trees, is a herd of animals. Small deer-like. Not majestic. Not Bambi. More like scruffy woodland goats with twitchy legs. Your first impulse is to shout, "Oh, cool, look," which would be, and this is important, the absolute worst thing you could do. Luckily, you manage to just mouth the words and catch yourself before making sound. One of the hunters takes a throwing spear from his back. Another strings what looks like a painfully primitive bow. The wood is slightly curved, the string made from twisted gut. It looks delicate, even unreliable, and yet you sense it's been used 1,000 times. Historians still argue whether early humans developed bow technology as early as this period, or if these hunting tools were more regional inventions. Regardless, the weapon in front of you is silent and deadly, and you suddenly feel wildly underqualified to even look at it. The group moves slowly now, creeping along the edge of the tree line. You shuffle forward, trying to be invisible. Every crackle of twigs beneath your feet sounds like a drum beat in your ears. A child nearby is quieter than you. A child. Then it happens. A hunter looses an arrow. It flies in a perfect arc and strikes one of the creatures in the flank. The herd scatters in an instant, but the wounded animal stumbles, falters, and falls. The group erupts into movement, rushing forward with practiced coordination. You stay put. You're not sure if you're meant to help watch or run, but after a moment, a young man beckons you. Cautiously, you jog over, heart thudding. The animal is still alive, gasping eyes wide. You freeze. You've seen nature documentaries, but this is real. It's uncomfortable, intimate, sacred even. The hunter lifts his spear and finishes it swiftly. Silence follows. The animal's breath fades. A few tribe members touch its body briefly, perhaps out of respect, perhaps out of ritual. You don't know. You just stand there, the stone hammer still in your hand, utterly speechless. There's no cheering, no high fives, just quiet efficiency. A knife is produced, flint, with a wrapped handle, and the butchering begins. Every motion is precise cuts along muscle groups, joints twisted and snapped cleanly, sinew preserved for thread organs removed with practiced hands. You're offered a chance to help. You nod. You kneel. You instantly regret kneeling, but you try. You hold the legs while someone skins the flank. You help scrape fat into a pouch. You try not to pass out when the smell of blood mixes with the still warm fur. It's intense. But here's the strange part. It's not grotesque. Not really. There's reverence in the act. Nothing is wasted. Bones are set aside for tools. The hide will be scraped and cured. The organs will be cooked. Even the hooves have a purpose. A group of children arrive with branches and sinew. A stretcher is quickly fashioned from forest junk and a lot of ingenuity. The carcass is loaded up. You help lift. And now begins the return march. You're tired. More than tired, you're physically, emotionally, spiritually wrung out. You've walked for miles, failed to catch a hare, watched a life end, and got blood in your eyebrow. Your Stone Age internship is getting serious. The journey back is quieter. The hunters are focused. You begin to understand the weight of food, not just its importance, but its cost. It's not a grocery run. It's a ritual, a gamble. Sometimes you eat. Sometimes you go to bed with only boiled roots and regrets. Back at camp, the return is met with soft exclamations, murmurs of approval, even a few smiles. The women prepare the fire. Children gather kindling. The meat will be smoked, some of it cooked, some saved. Nothing will go to waste. You are handed a chunk of raw liver. Someone mimes eat. You hesitate. You chew. It's warm, metallic, slimy. You swallow. You survive. You get a nod. Later, as the meat roasts over the fire and the shadows stretch long, you sit among the others. Not beside them, not near them, but with them. You've carried weight. You've faced death. You've bled both physically and metaphorically. You're not a full tribe member, not yet, but you're no longer the fumbling outsider. You smell like a carcass. You ache in places you didn't know existed. But for the first time since arriving, you feel real, like you belong. The stars are just starting to poke through the dusk when the real magic of Stone Age evening kicks in. Not magic like fireballs or chanting druids, no. This magic smells like wood smoke, crackling meat fat, and the faint sweetness of crushed berries fermenting nearby in a leaf-wrapped bowl. You've eaten grilled meat, roasted tubers, and yes, more grubs. You're developing a tolerance or at least a blank stare strategy. Your stomach is full in that satisfied but primitive way. There's no dessert, no espresso, just warmth, heaviness, quiet. Around the fire, people gather in clusters. Some are weaving. Some are tending embers. But most are simply watching, listening. One of the elders, the one with more wrinkles than scalp and a fur cape that probably has its own backstory, begins to hum. It's low and rhythmic, more breath than song. Another voice joins, then another. You've stumbled into the nightly ritual. No one announces it. No one claps. It just happens. The humming grows into a kind of chanting, then spoken word. A story begins. It's not in your language, not in any recognizable language at all, but you understand more than you expect. There's a hand that gestures toward the stars. A shape drawn in the dirt with a stick. A sudden leap as the storyteller mimics a creature something large, toothy, and now apparently extinct. The kids gasp. The adults smile. You are entranced. This is Stone Age Netflix, and you are binging it. Historians believe oral storytelling was among the first cultural technologies, a way to pass on knowledge, law, identity, and, of course, juicy gossip. Some of the earliest cave paintings seem to correspond with mythic cycles, lunar tracking, even early science. Tonight, you're watching it unfold in real time. One woman claps two stones together in rhythm. A child drums on a log. Someone nearby produces a rattle made from a gourd and pebbles. It's not exactly a jam session, but it is music, primitive, pulsing, surprisingly hypnotic. And you're completely absorbed. The elder suddenly points at you, at your face specifically, and everyone laughs. The story has shifted. Now you're part of it. You brace yourself. With dramatic flair, the elder mimics your earlier pratfall into the ditch, then mimics your face, equal parts horror and indignation, as you tumbled into the mud. The group erupts into gentle, echoing laughter. You bow. Stone Age meme achieved. There's something deeply human in this moment, this shared mirth, this quiet theater under the stars. No lights, no screens, no filters. Just people making sense of their weird, beautiful, brutal lives together. Then the story changes. The elder's voice drops. The fire flickers lower. The rhythm slows. It's about loss now. You don't know the words, but the mood shifts palpably. Faces grow still. Heads bow. A younger man puts his arm around a child. You hear the name of someone who presumably is gone. There's reverence here, and grief, and awe, and yet no one turns away from it. Stone Age people didn't fear death as we do. They faced it daily through injury, hunger, childbirth, weather. It wasn't a stranger. It was a fact of the forest, part of the cycle. You feel that weight now warm in your chest, and you realize you've stopped thinking about your old world completely. Your inbox, your feed, your to-do lists, gone. There's just this fire, this night, this moment. The elder finishes the story with a gesture, palm to the stars, head bowed, and silence follows, deep and undisturbed. Then someone starts humming again, a different tune. A lullaby, maybe. You close your eyes. You don't mean to, but you do. When you wake, it's darker. The fire is lower. Most of the group is curled up in sleeping positions, some under shelters made of branches, and hide others sprawled near the embers like warm-blooded constellations. You're offered a fur. You accept. Its scratchy smells like smoke and meat and might still be damp from last night's dew. But you wrap it around your shoulders like it's cashmere. Your bed is the ground, your pillow is your arm. And yet you're oddly, profoundly comfortable. The stars are out in force now. No light pollution. Just the Milky Way stretched overhead like a frozen river of whispers. And you think just before drifting off that you've never felt time so slowly, so richly, so simply. You've survived another day. Not just that, you've lived it. And somehow, you're starting to want more. Morning in the Stone Age doesn't arrive with an alarm clock or a cheerful phone buzz. It arrives with a shrill bird call, the faint rustle of someone stomping out the embers, and the unshakable sensation that your back is now permanently fused to a rock. You peel one eye open. Sunlight filters through the trees in wide golden rays. The world is quiet except for the birds and the distant echo of someone sneezing. A powerful, world-rattling sneeze. You blink slowly. Welcome to day 2. Still alive, still human, still very sore. You sit up and immediately regret it. Your hips ache. Your neck crunches. Your left leg may have entered a legally separate agreement with your body, but you're awake. That counts. You stretch, or at least attempt to, and shuffle toward the center of camp, where a few early risers are rekindling the fire. There's a small pile of roasted root vegetables nearby wrapped in steaming leaves. You take one. It's soft, vaguely sweet, and definitely better than the raw grubs. As you chew, you spot the rest of the tribe stirring. There's no rush, no bustle, just a slow, organic unraveling of limbs from furs, one sleepy figure at a time. It's peaceful. No deadlines, no meetings, no let's circle back emails. Just people waking up with the sun. Today's first task, hygiene. Yes, it exists even now. You follow a few others down to the stream. The same one you nearly fell into yesterday, now sparkling in the early light. One woman dips a bundle of grass into the water, squeezes it over her hands, and begins scrubbing her arms. Another uses a piece of bark like a sponge. A child giggles while rinsing out their mouth with minty leaves. You mimic the motions, rubbing your face, your neck, your arms. The cold water jolts your senses, but it's refreshing in a way no shower can match. It smells like earth and air, clean, not chemically so, but real. Then comes grooming. A man sits on a rock with a piece of polished bone, using it like a mirror to check his beard. He trims it with a sharpened flint. You're torn between being impressed and deeply horrified. One wrong move and snip no more lip. Nearby, someone is flossing with sinew. You glance away, suddenly aware of your own modern dental neglect. There's no mint-flavored rinse here. Just twigs, maybe some charcoal, and determination. Historians still debate how elaborate early hygiene rituals were. Some evidence suggests the use of natural oils and clays, even basic forms of deodorant, crushed herbs, packed into the armpits, or layers of ash mixed with animal fat. It wasn't spa day, but it wasn't filth either. They cared. They had to. You notice one of the women rubbing her feet with something dark and sticky. Curious, you ask, well gesture what it is. She points to a nearby tree with sap slowly oozing down the bark. Ah, natural antiseptic. You smear a bit on your own blistered toe and instantly wince. It stings. She smiles knowingly. Healing hurts a little. After cleanup, the group begins to prep for the day. This time, it's not for hunting or foraging, it's for building. You're led to a space just beyond the main camp where materials have been gathered. Branches, thatch bundles of grass, strips of hide. Structures here aren't permanent homes. They're shelters, temporary and adaptable, but they still require skill. A man hands you a bundle of bent branches and points at a half-finished dome. You blink. Is this IKEA? Where are the instructions? Turns out you are the instructions. Or you will be. Together, you begin weaving the branches into a frame, tying them with vine or sinew. It's awkward at first. Your fingers fumble. You forget which way the bend goes. You step on someone's basket, but eventually it clicks. The shape emerges. A few tribe members coat the outer layer with mud and thatch. One woman applies clay to the cracks. Another uses a flat stone to press decorative patterns into the edges. You're building not just shelter, but beauty. Function with flair. There's no blueprint. No ruler. Just memory. Muscle. Experience passed down through hands and time. As the structure takes shape, you step back to admire it. It's not grand, but it's solid, protective, human. You suddenly realize how much design went into surviving. It wasn't random. It was intention refined by necessity. You sit near the fire again, sipping a warm broth made from boiled bones and herbs. It's strong, rich, earthy. Not something you'd crave in your old life, but here, it hits differently. Your muscles thank you. Someone nearby starts singing softly, something low and repetitive. It weaves through the camp like a breeze picking up harmony from a second voice, then a third. It's calming, hypnotic. You don't know the words, but they wash over you. You close your eyes for a second, just a second, and when you open them again, you notice something else, peace, not the forced kind. The earned kind, the kind that comes after you've built something, learned something. Washed your blistered toe in cold stream water, and didn't complain much. You're not a visitor anymore, you're a beginner. Still slow, still clumsy, but finally a part of something. The sun climbs higher, and with it comes a subtle shift in energy. You've eaten, cleaned, helped build a shelter. You're no longer just existing, you're participating. Even if you still trip over tree roots twice an hour. Today's task, however, isn't about chasing animals or hauling firewood. It's about clothing, which, given the state of your current outfit, a patchwork of fur hide and mystery stains, is probably overdue. You're led to a flat clearing where several women and 2 older men are working around a long wooden rack. Draped across it is a large hide stretched taut and drying in the sun. Nearby, baskets filled with tools, bone awls, stone scrapers, smooth pebbles for polishing. One woman gestures for you to sit beside her. She hands you a strip of leather and an awl, then pantomimes poking holes along the edge. Easy enough, you think. You poke. The awl slips. You stab your thumb. Welcome to prehistoric tailoring. You try again, slower this time. The hide is stiff, the awl dull. But eventually, you get a rhythm going. Poke, shift, poke. The goal is to create a clean row of holes for threading sinew, a Stone Age sewing line. Primitive, yes, but also kind of elegant. Historians believe clothing in this period was more sophisticated than we often imagine. Early humans weren't just throwing on ragged pelts. They were stitching, decorating, dyeing. Some garments even had symbolic meaning, status role, or spiritual protection. You look around now and begin to notice the details you missed before. A child's tunic has red ochre dots along the sleeves. One man's shoulder wrap is embroidered with tiny bird bones. A woman's belt is braided with what looks like horsehair and dried flowers. These are not just clothes. They are statements. Someone hands you a dyed strip of hide faded purple, probably from crushed berries or lichen, and gestures for you to add it to your own gear. You hesitate. Decorate yourself already. Then you see the same woman who gave you the carved pebble watching from across the clearing. She nods, barely, but you catch it. You smile, tie the strip around your wrist, and try to act casual about it. You are officially accessorized. As the group continues sewing, someone starts humming. again. You're noticing that humming is the Stone Age equivalent of Spotify. It happens whenever hands are busy and minds can wander. A few people join in. The rhythm syncs with the stitching. You too hum along quietly so no one hears that you're off key in every era. Your piece of hide is now laced, neatly folded, and reinforced. It's basic. It's not Fashion Week ready, but it's yours. One man nearby is working on something different, footwear. You scoot closer. He's fashioning a kind of moccasin, soft leather sole fur lining and strips of rawhide for laces. No arch support, no memory foam, but light, durable, and surprisingly clever. He offers you a scrap to try. You trace your foot, cut a rough outline, and begin shaping the upper edge. It's frustratingly precise work. You keep slicing the leather unevenly. Your first attempt looks more like a sad leather taco than a shoe. He chuckles, fixes it, and helps you redo the seam. Eventually, you get one moccasin on. You test it. You walk in a circle. You grin like a toddler who just discovered Velcro. You make shoes now. Take that Amazon. Later, someone brings out a small pouch of powder ochre, a soft, dusty pigment made from iron-rich clay. It stains everything red. The woman who leads the painting gestures to your arm. You extend it. She paints a line, then another, then a pattern of dots and slashes that looks random, until you realize everyone else has their own version. Marks of identity, of story, of season, of you are now officially decorated. You sit back, arms crossed casually, the red ochre catching the sunlight. You look down at your patched tunic, your single-laced moccasin, your bracelet. You feel for the first time in days, not like a time traveler in survival mode, but like a person with style. Primitive, yes. Covered in bug bites, absolutely. But undeniably, Stone Age chic. As the sun begins to dip lower in the sky, the group finishes up their sewing. Someone stands, lifts a woven basket filled with finished clothing, and lets out a short call somewhere between a whistle and a bark. Children run over. The basket is opened, and they eagerly grab their pieces, laughing, trading, trying them on. It's fashion day at the Forest Boutique. You help fold some of the larger wraps and bring them to a drying line. You nod to the man who taught you to stitch, and he nods back, saying nothing, but you feel the pride in that silence. Just then a gust of wind catches the drying hides, and they ripple like banners. You stand in the middle of it all, painted, shoed, and slightly sunburned, watching ancient cloth flutter against the sky. It's beautiful. It's absurd. It's you. And as you glance at the horizon, the sun catching the red dust on your arms, you realize something. You didn't just survive another day. You showed up. You contributed. You stitched history literally into your sleeves. The golden hour settles over the camp like a soft blanket. It's that magical time when the sun dips. Low shadows stretch long and lean, and everything seems to exhale. The trees glow. The smoke from the cooking fires twirls lazily upward. Your limbs ache in the best possible way, like they've done something real. Tonight it's feast time. Okay, not banquet feast. More like we got lucky and nobody's poisoned feast. You follow the scent to the heart of the camp, where the hunters are already slicing. Smoked meat. Roasted tubers are being rolled in ash to cool, and someone is stirring a bubbling pot of something that smells suspiciously like stew or glue. You're willing to risk it. Dinner is served on well-not plates, leaves, bark, flat stones. One clever person has carved a shallow bowl out of a gnarled chunk of wood. It's misshapen but deeply impressive. You're handed your portion, a chunk of charred meat, some blackened root slices, a scoop of thick herby porridge. You sit with your back against a log, savoring the warmth. The food is smoky, earthy, and has a faint crunch that you think is intentional. Probably. As the tribe eats, the conversation shifts. You don't catch every word, but the tone changes. Laughter comes more easily. There's pointing. Someone mimics an animal, you think it's a boar based on the sound and the excessive snorting. A child tries to imitate the snort and ends up coughing into their dinner. The woman beside you offers a small clay cup. You sniff. It smells fermented, like old berries and questionable ambition. You raise your eyebrows. She grins and gestures for you to drink. You do. It burns. It tastes like fruit gone rogue. But hey, it is the Stone Age. If there's a happy hour, this is it. Historians still debate the origin of alcohol. Some argue fermentation was discovered by accident, fruit left too long in a warm corner. Others believe early people intentionally stored berries in hollow logs with water, hoping for something exciting to happen. Whatever the method, congratulations, you're now participating in the world's first awkward first sip of fermented forest punch. Across the fire, someone begins a rhythmic chant. A drum beat follows, probably a log and a stick, but it works. Others chime in. Some clap. And soon a slow, sleepy dance begins. You've seen dancing before. Weddings, TikToks, Zumba. This is none of those. It's slower, earthier. The movement is subtle, more sway than stomp. Arms float. Feet tap the dust. It's less about precision and more about presence. No one's filming. No one's judging. You can't tell who's leading, or if anyone is. You're invited. You hesitate because modern self-consciousness is hard to shake. But eventually you stand, you sway, and somehow your body remembers something ancient. You fall into rhythm, not graceful, not elegant, but sincere. You're moving with the tribe around the fire beneath the sky. The stars begin to emerge above, winking one by one into the fading light. This isn't just entertainment. This is ritual. This is memory made physical. The dance slows, then stops. People sit breathing softly. One man starts humming again, of course he does, and others join. The fire crackles. The mood shifts once more. It's quieter now, contemplative. Someone pulls out an object, a carved figurine small enough to fit in the palm. It looks like a person, or maybe an animal, or maybe both. You can't quite tell. It's passed around the circle. Some touch it. Others whisper to it. When it reaches you, your fingers tingle. It's warm from other hands. Smooth in some places, rough in others. A totem, perhaps. Or a memory stone. Or just a beloved object imbued with generations of meaning. You hold it for a moment, then pass it on. Anthropologists still debate what such figurines meant. Fertility spirits, ancestral memory. Whatever their purpose, they mattered. They were part of something bigger. Just like you now. As the figurine makes its way back to its keeper, the fire dies lower. People begin to retreat to their sleeping spots. You follow suit, grateful for the cooling air and the promise of rest. But before you settle, a child taps your arm. They hold something out. It's small, round, and carved another pebble like the one you received on your first day. You accept it with both hands. They smile, then scamper away. You study it in the firelight. This one's etched with a spiral. A symbol, a doodle, a map. You have no idea, but it's yours. You lie back, pebble in hand, staring up at the sky. And there it is, the Big Dipper. The only constellation you still remember. Except here it looks different. Larger, closer, more alive. Everything does. The fire flickers. The wind shifts. And for the briefest moment, as your eyelids grow heavy, you wonder if someone thousands of years from now will stumble on this pebble and wonder about you. You wake with a start, not because of danger, but because your arm is asleep. Completely. Like useless sack of meat asleep. You roll over, gently flailing until circulation returns, and glance around the quiet camp. It's early, before the sun, before the birds, just soft gray light and the distant yawn of the forest. Most of the tribe is still sleeping, bundled under hides curled like commas against the cool earth. the fire's mostly embers now glowing faintly. Smoke snakes into the sky like the ghost of yesterday. You stand slowly, quietly, and shuffle down toward the stream. No one stops you. Maybe because you're trusted now, or maybe because they're all asleep and wouldn't notice if you were abducted by moss trolls. At the water's edge, you crouch, rinse your face, and take a long drink. It's cold and fresh and tastes like stone and sky. You splash more on your arms, trying to wash off the layers of sweat smoke and yesterday's questionable stew. Then from behind you, a low voice hums. You turn. It's one of the elders, barefoot, wrapped in a thick, woolly hide, eyes still soft with sleep. She sits beside you without a word, just hums. A slow, pulsing tune that matches the rhythm of the water. She picks up a stick and draws something in the dirt, a spiral, a wave, a series of dots. You nod like you understand. You do not. Still, you sit quietly listening to the hums, watching the mist rise from the surface of the stream. There's something sacred in this quiet, like the forest hasn't fully opened its eyes yet and you're here in the in-between. Historians often theorize that early mornings were important to prehistoric people, not just for hunting, but for connecting. Some tribes may have performed dawn rituals. Others simply listened to the birds, to the wind, to the change in temperature that whispered today will be different. Back at camp, the first fire crackles to life. Someone stirs a pot. Someone else sneezes, probably the same someone from yesterday, and a child laughs in their sleep. It's time to move. Today, the tribe has a plan. You're not sure how you know. No one has announced anything, but the pace is different. Purposeful. People are packing tools, coiling rope, wrapping dried food in leaves. A journey, perhaps. You're handed a bundle. You carry it without question. This is what you do now. The group sets off shortly after sunrise, slipping into the forest like it's second nature. You follow in the middle, trying not to trip, trying to remember that the soft-looking vine on your left is actually very stabby. The walk is longer than usual. Hours pass. You snack on dried fruit. Someone hums again, always with the humming. Eventually, the trees thin. You climb a ridge brush aside some fern, and then you stop. Before you, the land opens wide. A valley stretches below, blanketed in wildflowers and tall grasses. A river winds through it like silver thread, and far in the distance you see smoke. Another camp. You're not alone. This is trade day, or maybe gathering day. Whatever it is, your tribe isn't the only one in this story. As you descend into the valley, you see other groups approaching from the east, the north, even across the river. Some carry bundles of dried meat. Others have woven baskets, tools, painted hides. You notice jewelry made of bone-carved sticks that look ceremonial, even strange-looking dried mushrooms. You suddenly feel underdressed. The gathering place is a large flat clearing framed by standing stones. Not Stonehenge-level stones, more like convenient boulders arranged by practical ancestors, but still they command attention. Groups mingle carefully, eyes scanning, voices low but friendly. There's a cautious politeness here. Everyone's armed, but no one draws. You stick close to your people. You've learned just enough not to wander off and start an international incident. A group nearby offers smoked fish. Your tribe offers fruit and dried meat. It's a quiet bartering dance, no coins, no haggling, just assessment. Value, trust, a nod, a trade. Someone hands you a carved pendant, a small bear etched into wood. You trade a strip of ochre-painted leather from your arm. The exchange is simple, meaningful. You feel the shift in weight immediately. This is now a piece of someone else's story. Nearby, a circle forms. Storytelling. Drumming. A small girl begins a dance, slow, measured, beautiful. She's maybe 7 years old, but she moves like she's been doing it since before memory. The adults tap their hands, some sing. You glance up. Across the circle, a stranger locks eyes with you. They smile. You nod. It's small, but it means something. Stone Age diplomacy. Historians still argue whether gatherings like this were seasonal festivals, trading fairs, or early political summits. Probably all three. What's certain, early humans needed each other. Not just for food, for ideas, for stories, for proof that they weren't alone. As the sun arcs overhead, the trading slows. Groups begin packing. There's no formal goodbye. Just quiet glances, the last swap of goods, and a slow parting of paths. Your tribe begins the climb back toward the ridge. You follow the new pendant warm against your chest. Your feet are sore, your stomach's full, your arms ache, and your heart full. So full, because today you didn't just witness history. You were it. You return to camp in a blur of dusty footsteps and late afternoon haze. The path home feels shorter, somehow familiar. Your legs may be jelly, but they know the way. When the clearing appears between the trees, your shoulders instinctively relax. The smoky scent of home-cooked roots drifts in the breeze. Yes, this is home now. You didn't mean to think that, but there it is. The others settle quickly, laying down their traded items, unwrapping bundles of dried fruit and sharpened flint. There's chatter, low, rhythmic, like the rustle of wind through branches. Someone laughs. Someone starts singing again. Of course, you help unpack the tools. One is a flint blade shaped like a crescent moon, sharp on both ends. Another is a beautifully woven basket lined with waxy leaves. You examine it with curiosity, trying to decipher its construction. Whoever made it had tiny fingers and infinite patience. One of the elders calls you over. You sit beside her watching as she opens a clay pot. Inside a soft, grainy paste, thick and red. Ochre again, yes? But this time it's mixed with fat. She dips a finger in and dabs a line across your cheek. Another across her own. You recognize the act, now ritual shared, marking a silent acknowledgement of the day's passage. Then she lifts a second item, a flat rock covered in tiny scratches. It's a record, or a calendar, maybe a list. No one knows for sure, but these notched stones have been found at archaeological sites across the globe. Historians still debate their meaning. Some think they're counting days. Others think it's lunar tracking or tallying food or recording something sacred. She adds a notch. You realize you just got written into history. Later, as the sun tips toward the horizon, you're invited to the edge of camp for a lesson in fire starting. You've avoided this task so far. Fire is scary. Fire is unpredictable. Also, last time you tried to light a match, you burned your sandwich. But you nod and sit down anyway. A young boy demonstrates, cool as a cucumber. He uses a fire drill, spinning a stick between his palms over a bed of dry moss. It's mesmerizing. Your arms ache just watching. Then it's your turn. You position the stick. You spin. You slip. You nearly jab yourself in the nose. Everyone is very polite about not laughing, mostly. But you keep at it. You spin faster. Your palms burn, smoke curls, you almost scream. Then spark, ember, flame. You blink. It worked. You're not even sure how, but it worked. The others cheer softly, more nods than noise, but still. One woman pats your back. You're handed a bark bowl of water. You drink like a hero who just pulled a sword from a stone. Historians believe early humans revered fire, not just as a tool, but as a kind of spirit. It required patience, coaxing respect. It fed the tribe, warded off beasts, and offered warmth in a world that didn't forgive mistakes. Today, you fed it, and it didn't bite back. With dusk settling in, the camp becomes quiet again. You sit by the fire. you helped make, watching sparks drift upward like fireflies searching for stars. Someone sharpens a bone needle. Another weaves grass into rope. The rhythms of daily survival have become almost meditative. You notice a boy nearby carving into bark. Curious, you shuffle closer. It's a fish, crude but clear. You smile. He points to your pebble, the one with the spiral. Then to his carving. Ah, he's copying. You place your pebble beside him. He traces the spiral, slowly, tongue sticking out in concentration. And just like that, a new story begins. The two of you sit there in the firelight, drawing spirals and animals and whatever else comes to mind. No rules, no school, just shared space and imagination. Eventually, someone calls the boy away. He leaves his bark behind. You pick it up. You trace the lines again. Tomorrow it will be ash. But tonight, it's legacy. You place it beside the fire. As the tribe gathers again for rest, you unroll your fur and settle in. Your fingers are stained red. Your shoulders are marked. Your heart somehow is lighter than when you arrived. You stare at the stars. You think of the spiral, of fire, of scratch marks in stone. And you wonder if you had to tell your story without words. Only symbols, scents, shapes. What would you leave behind? What would say you were here? The fire crackles one last time before it settles, and in the hush that follows, your breath slows. Not because you're tired, but because everything is exactly as it should be. The final morning comes like a soft whisper through the trees. You wake before the birds this time. Your eyes open not with a start, but with a kind of knowing. The sky is still dark blue, barely tinged with gray. The fire from last night is long cold, and your breath curls in little clouds above your face. You lie still for a moment, listening. There's the rustle of someone rolling over nearby. A single woodpecker starts its morning beat, nature's percussion section. A squirrel chatters indignantly somewhere overhead. And then, silence. Deep, ancient, complete. You sit up and look around. The camp is as it was. Stones still in place. Bundles still tied, a few embers here and there, stirring beneath a dusting of ash. But something feels different. Everyone else feels it too. You move slowly, gently, helping with morning chores. Water from the stream. Coals blown back to life. Roots peeled and sliced. There's no rush. The air is thick with unspoken knowing. Today is the day the camp moves on. Not because of danger or shortage, but because that's what this life demands. Stone Age communities were often semi-nomadic. Following the game, the season, the water. Sometimes they moved for practical reasons, other times for spiritual ones. The land was a partner, not a backdrop. You didn't own it, you listened to it. The tribe is listening now. You help dismantle the shelter you helped build. It feels oddly emotional, like taking down a nursery. You untie the knots you once fumbled. You stack the branches you once dropped. And you feel it, how quickly something becomes home, how gently it can disappear. The hearth is covered with stones, the ashes scattered. You walk the perimeter one last time, running your hand over the smoothed-down logs, the cooking pit, the notched stone still bearing its marks. Gone soon, but not forgotten. Before the group departs, one final act. Each person approaches the now dead fire and adds something small, a feather, a carved bead, a fragment of hide, a symbol, a goodbye. You reach into your pouch and pull out the bark the boy had carved, the one with your spiral. You place it gently atop the pile, then step back. It's quiet. Then the elder, the same one who painted your face, who hummed by the stream, lifts her hands. She draws a spiral in the air, then closes her fist. The signal. It's time. The tribe moves like a single organism. No frantic packing, no shouting, just movement. Measured, familiar, trusting. You carry your bundle again. the one that feels less like a burden, now more like a badge. As you leave the clearing, you glance back one last time, and it's gone. Not literally. The structures still stand. The fire pit still smokes faintly, but the energy has shifted. The life has moved on, and so have you. The walk is longer today, the terrain steeper, but no one complains, not even you. There's something meditative about it now. Step by step, breath by breath. You climb, you cross a stream. You step over a log that has definitely tripped you before, but not this time. Eventually, the tribe pauses. The new spot is beautiful. Open glade. Natural stone wall to the east. A small spring bubbling nearby. A perfect patch of moss that already looks like it's waiting for someone to nap on it. The group sets down their packs. No orders are given yet. Everyone begins to move, collecting branches, marking boundaries, finding flint, checking for animal tracks. 1,000 unspoken tasks begin all at once like choreography passed through generations. You're not asked to help, you just do. You gather long grass for weaving. You stack firewood. You reinforce a small shelter frame. You do it not for credit, but because you belong here now, because surviving is no longer the goal. Contributing is. Historians often romanticize this era or else reduce it to hardship and hunger. But what they sometimes forget is this early. Humans weren't just trying to stay alive. They were trying to live well, to find rhythm, ritual, rest, and you found all three. The sun begins to set on the new camp. Fires are lit. The smell of smoked meat returns like a warm memory. Children laugh. Someone carves a spiral into a new stone. You watch, you smile, and you feel it down in your marrow. You made it, not just through the tasks or the injuries or the awkward bark-flavored stew. You made it through the change. You're no longer a guest here. You're part of the story now. The sky turns violet. Not metaphorically, it actually turns violet, that rich, inky dusk that only lasts a few minutes before the stars take over. The new camp glows softly in the fading light, each fire flickering like an ancient heartbeat. You're sitting near one of them now. Legs folded beneath you, arms wrapped in a hide you helped stitch just a few days ago. It still smells like smoke and effort. You can feel every fiber, every knot your fingers tied. Dinner is simpler tonight. Roots, herbs, a few strips of dried fish traded at the valley gathering. You eat slowly, each bite warm and grounding like punctuation at the end of a long sentence. Across from you, someone begins to hum. You chuckle under your breath, of course, but this one's different. Deeper, lower. It builds slowly, layered by others joining in one voice, then another, until the camp becomes a soft chorus. No melody, no lyrics, just sound, ancient and collective. You close your eyes. You let it wash over you. The fire pops. A breeze lifts the smoke. You smell pine sweat ash and something vaguely sweet, crushed berries on someone's skin, perhaps. You feel the earth beneath you, not just dirt, but ground. The kind of ground that held the weight of ancestors. A man begins to speak. You don't know the language, but the cadence is unmistakable a story. He gestures. His face moves with the tale. Others react smiling, nodding, gasping at moments you don't fully understand, but feel in your bones. A hunter, perhaps, or a flood, or a talking deer. You don't need every word. You feel the story's weight in the silence between them, and suddenly you realize storytelling was never just entertainment. It was transference of knowledge, of warnings, of dreams. Historians still argue whether prehistoric stories were memorized like epic poems or improvised like jazz. Some say they were maps. Others say they were medicine. But tonight, here in this circle, it doesn't matter, because you are listening. Because you are in the story now. Someone places something in your lap, a small round object, smooth, warm from being held, a carved token. You recognize it immediately. It's a moon phase marker. You've seen one before, passed in the valley, etched with thin crescents and dots. You trace your fingers across the surface, and then you realize it's for you, a gift, a symbol of passage perhaps, of time marked, of the days you've survived and the tribe you've joined. You nod in gratitude. No words needed. The story ends. Quiet falls. Someone adds another log to the fire and the flames leap up, painting faces gold. A woman picks up a small drum, a gourd, really, with beads inside. She begins to shake it gently. Rhythm returns. Feet tap, hands follow. A slow swaying dance begins, not like the festival from before, but something gentler, looser. You join in, because why wouldn't you? You dance not to impress, not to prove. You dance because your body wants to now, because it knows this rhythm, because it remembers this place, because maybe deep down it always did. Eventually the night cools. The embers dim. People drift toward their beds. Furs hides carved out spaces. One by one the music fades. The stories hush. The last fire sighs into sleep. You lie back, token still in your hand. You stare at the stars. They blink at you, ancient and familiar. And you think you wouldn't last a day in the Stone Age. You lasted longer. You learned. You adapted. You even made shoes. And now, here at the quiet edge of the world with a full belly and soot on your face, you do something truly profound. You fall asleep, not with fear, but with trust, with peace, with the quiet knowledge that in this strange and distant world you found your place. You are not the same. You are something softer, something wilder, something older. And just before sleep takes you completely, you whisper, "I made it." The fires have gone out now. The stars above whisper their slow, ancient shimmer, and the forest breathes a little more deeply. You're wrapped in warmth of the hide around your shoulders, of the memories behind your eyes, and of the strange, quiet pride of having lived through a world that once seemed impossible. The night holds you like a lullaby. You shift slightly, finding the perfect spot where the earth beneath you gives just enough like it was shaped for your rest. A faint wind moves through the leaves above, rustling them like a page being turned very slowly, gently marking the end of a long, long chapter. The carved token rests against your chest, its smooth surface warming slightly from your skin. You trace your thumb across it without thinking, just rhythm, just comfort. In the distance, a bird calls once, soft and sleepy. Maybe it's dreaming too. You breathe in through your nose slowly. Hold, and out. Again and again. Each breath takes you further from this day, this camp, this body of yours that worked and walked and learned. Each breath is a soft tide drawing you out into quieter waters. You don't need to remember every moment. Your body remembers for you. The fire starting, the dancing, the painting, the walking through tall grass and over stone. You lived them, and now it's time to rest. So let your limbs go heavy. Let your thoughts turn to dust. Let the world fade to soft echoes and dim starlight. You're safe. You're still. You're home for now. And whether it's the Stone Age or some place in your imagination, you'll always know the way back should you ever wish to return. Sleep well.